how can I not trust, love, and respect a man who is willing to share his deepest secrets and possibly even risk me running away? It made me love him even more.
Did you push record?
Thanks so much for tuning back into Second Act TV. I want to welcome Jim Griffith and Emily Liu back to Second Act TV. They are an intimacy and sex coaching team. Yay! Big topic here on Second Act. Thanks for joining me again.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah, we're excited, Silke.
And we just finished a segment, of course, we'll link to that, about just the basis of your approach, the internal family systems model. And what we want to do on this segment is having difficult conversations that stand in the way of developing intimacy. Let's talk about that. How do we do that?
We do that by being radically honest about our thoughts and feelings, especially in the dating process. You know, you're collecting data and you're sensing the person, and then you have like these thoughts like, oh, I don't know about this. Oh my gosh, it looks like he's like moving forward too much. I'm not sure if I like him that much yet. Many of us have a tendency to just hold back and not say anything. So I think it was around the fourth date, Jim started to move forward a little faster than me. It seemed like he wanted more of a commitment than I was ready for. So instead of holding back and just not saying anything, I sent a voice note talking from my heart. And I said, I'm sensing that there's a faster movement on your end than what I'm ready for. There's a voice inside of me that says XYZ. There's another voice that says, I don't know, I can't. It's too scary to get into another relationship and where I'm gonna have my heart broken. And then there's also another part of me that is still trying to emotionally get over a relationship that ended months ago. And I'm not sure if I'm there yet. I'm still at this stage of I want to just connect in the present moment and see where this goes. So this was a 9-minute voice note, and I just really got into my heart and just said it just in the moment. And then he heard it, and if you want to share,
I took
your
notes.
reaction.
I listened to it a couple of times. I mean, how wonderful was this to receive? From my standpoint, in the dating process, it's so rare to get any kind of pacing information from the woman that I'm dating, right? So here's a woman that's telling me not only that things are moving a little bit too quickly for her comfort, but exactly why. And, you know, in a level of detail that I'd never experienced before. So that's why I took the notes, because I learned so much about her just in listening to this 9-minute voice note.
And then he said, okay, let's get on a Zoom call. And I'm just like, oh, okay. I thought it was just going to be fun. He wanted to Zoom, and we ended up Zooming for 2 hours. And I just kept digging into past relationship hurts that were informing the way I felt in the moment, and that I didn't want to repeat the same mistakes again, getting overly attached. And I just went through it. I revealed everything. I didn't hold anything back. And that's what made us be able to like, wow, I'm sharing so much so early. And then he's also sharing his thoughts and feelings and where he's at.
Yeah, and we did all of this really in the context of this IFS model that we mentioned in the last segment. It allowed us to have this kind of intimate conversation, a vulnerable conversation, without attaching the outcome to our identity. In other words, this is not all of me. This is a part of me, right? There's a part of me that's still getting over a previous relationship. There's a part of me that's really scared about, moving too quickly because maybe I've done that in the past and I don't want to repeat that mistake. So having that level of vulnerability and clarity was just so startling and refreshing in our early conversations.
A question that comes up to me when I'm hearing you talk, and obviously we're talking about the early stages of dating now,
Right. Yes.
And yeah, lots of people struggle with early stages of dating, getting past the first dates, getting a second date, etc. And there's probably a lot of that in the way. I should say that Emily, of course, is also an author. She has written 2 relationship books, which are based on the IFS model. And you, Jim, have been you're a coach who does IFS coaching, but you've also been in therapy.
Exactly.
In that same process. I bring that up because both of you independently, were in tune with that. How important is like when I heard you say that you give so much up front, you were able to accept that because you're familiar with this. How would somebody that's not familiar with it accept that? I mean, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a process. The first thing that we do with couples that we're coaching is really talk to them about why the IFS model works, what it's like, and what it requires of you from a frame of mind in order to be able to sort of use it effectively. And when we are coaching couples, we're coaching them on how to do this among themselves as well as leading them through the process to teach them, right? So it's a really exciting opportunity to witness transformation in these relationships as a result of these couples revealing to one another things that they've never told each other.
Give us an example, something people can really identify with to demonstrate the process.
Yeah, so again, I'm going to come back to dating. And, there comes a time in every relationship, it has evolved from dating to being exclusive, where it's really time to come clean on your background, your, skeletons in the closet, whatever you want to call that, those things that you're not particularly comfortable talking to people about, but that your partner now needs to understand about you. So this could be past infidelity. It could be, any form of sort of addictive behavior, whether it's alcoholism or drugs or sex or overeating or bulimia. I mean, it goes on and on. That's a long list right there.
Also financial failures, bankruptcy.
Oh, right. Yeah. So there's a whole nother area where, particularly men at our age that are, either approaching retirement or in retirement, if they haven't built the kind of wealth that they had dreamed of building, that can be a real sore point for them. And it really attaches to who they are because we're so defined by what we do a lot of the time. Our careers mean a lot to us and success in those careers.
And the greatest example we could give you to illustrate like how he was able to share the skeletons in the closet was something that happened after, I think it was like 7 to 8 weeks into dating.
Right.
And he knew he had to
my time to come clean.
Come clean about certain things. And we teach couples to come clean. So he did what needed to happen, and he had a 5-page document he wrote out.
I worked with my therapist on this because I knew that I wanted to reveal this to Emily, and I worked it out in my usual sort of. I want to be really careful about the words that I use and how I express myself here. And of course, it was terrifying because this is the kind of stuff that can make or break a relationship, right? This can be, a deal breaker at an early stage of a new relationship. But my approach was, sooner or later, this is going to come out. Now is the time. I want to tell her all of this stuff so I can establish a clear baseline for radical honesty going forward, and I'm not holding anything back. And we describe this process as holding space. So Emily was holding space for me while I revealed all of this to her, and I cannot tell you what a relief it was to be able to get that off my chest and just sort of put it out there. And she received it, just as I would when I'm listening to her reveals, from a sort of this detached position of, this is a part of me.
Not all of me.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a part of me, and that I've learned a lot from the mistakes that I've made in the past. And so it was really healing for me to be able to reveal that and to establish this radical honesty.
So there are a couple of points I want to make with regards to the holding space process. Number one, holding space is about non-reactivity. Just listen. Mm-hmm. Even if they're not doing it right, or maybe they're pointing fingers and using the you word, just listen. It's like, oh, okay, they're doing the best they could.
Don't try to fix it.
Don't get defensive, even if it's about you. They're coming from a place of fear. And when we have these parts, let's say the skeletons in the closet, they often happen because of the childhood wound.
Right.
Because I understood that all of our behaviors, thoughts, emotions that are in extreme are due to childhood wounds, like, oh, okay. And I already knew what his main childhood wounds were and his triggers, like, oh, okay, makes sense. And I was kind of like, just like neutral, just looking at him through his eyes. And I could tell he was really nervous in reading this 5-page document to me because he wanted to make sure he didn't miss anything. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, oh, yeah, okay. So it wasn't like, oh, I didn't do this. Like, oh, I get it. Based on what you already told me. Oh, now I know why. It's like, oh. And then in the end,
she didn't actually say any of that.
I didn't say any of that. Yeah, I was thinking all of that. I just remained silent.
She was just listening.
I was just listening. And then in the end, he cracked a few tears. And it's like, wow, it was so cathartic for him to like, these are the things I had been working on with the therapist. And then I said, oh. And then my inner thought was, and I also shared it with him, wow, that took a lot of courage and bravery for you to do it at this stage of our relationship, which moved very fast. And he intuitively knew that if he waited any longer to reveal all of this, then it'd be like, wait, you waited this long to reveal the rest of the story? That would have created some mistrust. Whereas at this point, my thinking was, how can I not trust, love, and respect a man who is willing to share his deepest secrets and possibly even risk me running away? How can I not trust a man who is willing to do that for me? It made me love him even more. It's like, wow, I can trust this man's leadership. I can feel safe. And I'm just like, I got it.
So this updating process is really part of updating our parts, is a part of the healing process that takes place. The ability to voice it, the ability to have it received and accepted, and that to feel the love come back is really cathartic, is really healing.
Yeah. Well, and how to get started with it is the cheat sheet that you're giving us is that helps us identify the parts that we need to heal. Would that be accurate?
Yes. Well, the cheat sheet is going to help you to understand the whole IFS framework and how to get that intimacy and vulnerable conversations started so that you can have the deep intimacy and great sex that you want. So this is about understanding this whole framework of internal family systems, which is where it is best for the viewers to start the journey. Because once you understand yourself and your higher self in parts, oh, no wonder I have that procrastination part that never wants me to finish anything I start because it's afraid that I'm going to really achieve wild success and doesn't want me to shine in the spotlight. Once you understand your parts, when you meet other people, not only in your romantic partnership, but also at work and also your family, like, oh, you stop judging people. You stop reacting like, oh, that's just one of their parts. So it's a new story you build in your head when you understand that we are all made up of the higher self and then the parts. So this cheat sheet is going to help you to begin some of these conversations you want to have in dating or in established relationships.
Yeah. Well, very, very interesting conversation. Lots to think about. I will hold you over for another segment. There's one more conversation we want to have today, talking about a difficult conversation, and that is about ED. Another big
Okay.
issue here at this time in life, and all the shame and issues that raises with couples. So I will link to all of your information, your book, and the cheat sheet that we just mentioned that maybe will help provide some insight into what it is you're currently going through. So stay with us. We'll be back on another segment of Second Act TV.
Thank you, Silke.
Thank you.
If you haven't already done so, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. The button is right over here. Just click on through to YouTube, and when you see the little bell right next to the subscribe button, hit that too, and we'll notify you every time we launch a new video. See you next time.